Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. First off, let's get settled in so we can get comfortable and start off this video by saying Happy Halloween. Because if I am going to be able to edit this, it's going to be on Halloween, which is my birthday. So thank you all for the wonderful wishes. I'm officially 56 years old, and it's going to be an interesting year because I plan to really go hard on this channel and pivot as many times as I can to appease my audience and my community, which is what I really like to call you guys, my community. So, as you can tell from the title, this is the next episode in season 2, Sex and the City, episode 11, called Evolution. And what a perfect day to bring this video to you. Evolution. Because that's what we're all doing. We're all about evolving. Hopefully. I'm just saying. So, a couple of things before we get started. One, thank you for the wonderful comments and expressions from when I had posted about the hurricane that hit Jamaica over the week. As you know, I had intended to bring, at least an extra video during the week. And unfortunately, I was so engrossed in that whole situation with the Hurricane Melissa. And if you all have been watching, you know the devastation that happened, not just in Jamaica, but for Cuba and Haiti as well. And it is pretty shocking and sad to see. Many friends that I know have family there in all 3 of those actual islands. So if you have been watching, if you've donated, if you want to donate, it would be great because these people are suffering and, God bless them and to their families and their loved ones, because this is, unfortunately a nature-made, catastrophe. And that's something that is very hard to avoid, as you know. So, living out there cannot be easy. And I express my deep love, condolences, and respect to the people who stick it out, who are out there, who make it happen. So that's number 1. Number 2, like I said, it's Halloween today. I hope you guys are going to be safe. I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. I normally don't celebrate too much my birthday, believe it or not. But it is something that I can't avoid. So happy Halloween. I am freakishly happy and concerned. 56 is a big milestone. So I hope you all are enjoying this journey with me. Number 3, I want to thank everyone who has commented, liked, subscribed. And I hope that you continue to do so because, as I noted before, my target is to have 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, which is creeping up very slowly. No, I'm sorry, creeping up very quickly, because tomorrow's November 1st. And you know what that means? It's full on Christmas. We skipped Halloween. We skipped Thanksgiving. We're right into Christmas. And then the New Year. And God knows what's going to bring us for the New Year. I hope it brings everyone joy, love, and, jobs. I think I'm going to make a separate video about the job situation that's happening out here in the United States with Amazon, with YouTube. I also want to bring this up very shortly. YouTube is changing a lot. I don't know how this platform is going to act or be creative for the creators anymore. I know for being a creator and being a viewer, it has changed tremendously. And I'm hoping that I can continue to be on here and grow and have you guys be a part of this growth. I just don't know, based on so many different people's perspective on the changes that are happening in the YouTube, especially when they're laying off or they're they're asking people to voluntarily leave, about 1,000, which is not a lot, but it's a lot. And from what I understand, they're changing the platform to be more of a competitor to Netflix, to television itself. So how this platform will change, I don't know. I will let you know how much it will change and affect me as what I want to do here with you guys. And if I decide to continue doing this or if I need to switch somewhere else, I don't know yet because it's all very new to us. not even to new creators, to people who have been on this platform for a very long time. There seems to be genuine concern. So let's hope that, whatever does happen, it does become a much easier space for new creators and for people who want to watch creators, because that's important to us, because at the end of the day, we're enjoying what we're doing for the most part. And I enjoy what I'm doing, and I want to continue doing this and be here with you guys. And I love to be out there and actually communicate with all of you. So let's just cross our fingers. Let's get through the next couple of months and see where we go with that. So those are the three most important things that I wanted to bring to you. So we're going to get into this interesting one. And I say this because I've already watched the next two, and I've been, I've rewatched these many times over. So anyone who's new to my channel, so you understand, we're rewatching Sex and the City, the original, because one, we're tired of what happened at the reboot and just like that. Number two, me personally, I'm sick of bad television. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of bad television. I'm sick of bad movies. I'm sick of it. I wish that we can form a union, the viewers, and strike, because there's not much out there that's really doing any justice to what television used to be. And this is just one of many old TV shows, which is, believe it or not, old, that we can go back and relive and rewatch and appreciate. So for many of us who have sat through the and just like that, I am personally sick of reboots. I'm sick of all the crap that these people are spewing out to us. And I feel like we're being taken advantage of. So as we pass through Sex and the City, we're going to go and revisit some other favorites that I have, as well, because I want to do that. There's a few of them that I want to recap and review. But this is the predominant reason why most of us are here, to relive. And it's not just about nostalgia. It's about good writing, good acting, good delivery, good scripting. Like, this was a good time. So my why for this channel is to bring some laughter, some joy, some perspective. Sometimes it's not going to be easy. This show goes hard. It's going to be hurtful. I still don't like Big and Carrie. But if I can make you guys laugh and you guys can enjoy yourself for the hour plus that I bring this over to you guys weekly, then I've done my job. And that makes me happy, because we need a lot of joy in our lives. So it's a funny recap. Sometimes we do go deep. I do ugly cry. And speaking of ugly crying, I cannot thank every person that, number one, comments, but then when you send me super thanks, I ugly cry. So super thanks to you, because that means a lot to me. And it really helps out. It makes me become more incentivized to do this. So let's get into what's going to happen in this episode, the evolution, because this is the one that prequels what's going to come after this episode, which was very deep for me. We get to see Samantha's past love life. We get to understand the difference between a gay straight man and a straight gay man, which I had no clue about what the hell that was about. That's Charlotte. Miranda has way too many deep conversations with her gynecologist and a crop rotation farmer. I'll explain. And Big and Carrie are the same. Push and pull and pull, pushing this and all this crap. Let's get into it when you have a chance. If you haven't done so already, but you're still watching, and in case you do get further into this and you're enjoying this, you could do something. Subscribe. Stay tuned. Evolution. We all go through it. And as we are with the scene that opens with Miranda, who's visiting her gynecologist, and as Carrie narrates, one of the most uncomfortable situations is for a woman to visit her gynecologist. And I have to say, yes, it is. Oh my God. I hate that visit. It is uncomfortable. It is just weird. And I don't like it. If I would have known, no one can prepare you for that. I'm sorry. There's not enough conversations you have with your friends, your mom, it's not fun. I don't like it. So I completely concur with Carrie. So as the female gynecologist is gynecologing, I don't know if that's a word, but we're going to use it as a verb, Miranda, she asks her if she wants a refill on her birth control. And Miranda, at that moment, has decided that she's going to express every emotion that she's ever had about being on this pill, or I guess whatever it is, the birth control. And she over explains why she doesn't need a refill in the sense that she tells her that she doesn't need to be it on anymore. And the doctor asks, are you trying to have a kid? She goes, no. The reason why I was on it, the guy that I was dating, Steve, the one guy that I ever had a real serious relationship with, I am not with him anymore. We broke up. So I don't need a daily reminder of, me not being with him anymore. I can't imagine how many stories gynecologists or doctors hear, but that was way too personal. A simple no, I don't need it anymore would have sufficed. But I guess if you're in an uncomfortable, anxiety ridden kind of situation with your legs up and someone digging around in your nether regions, you feel the need to express yourself. I've never felt that need. I stay quiet. Yes, no, ouch, bend, ooh, ah, get out. That's pretty much all the conversations I have with my gynecologist, male or female. Just saying. So as the doctor, tells her everything looks good, she tells her that, except for one thing, that apparently she has a lazy ovary. First time I ever heard of this in my life. And, Miranda as well. And she says, what does that mean? She says, it means that your right ovary has stopped producing eggs. And Miranda's like, do you think that maybe it's just on a preemptive strike? Okay, just so for people who don't know this, I'm actually telling you the story of how I felt when I first watched this, which was in 1999 when this episode appeared, with my girlfriends on a Friday night. And because I've rewatched it and I know what's going to happen, what my feelings are throughout, the various motions that I go through rewatching it. So back in 1999, none of us have ever heard of a lazy ovary ever. So that's one thing about the show that I do give it kudos. It did bring out situations and terminologies that, as females, we have no freaking clue about this. So the next scene we have is one of my favorites, as I always mention, is when all the girls are together and they're eating at one of the diners. It's not the normal diner, it's a very fancy looking one, but I like it. So Miranda is expressing to the girls about her lazy ovary and that she's very concerned and upset because that ovary is an underachiever, which she's disappointed because that ovary actually went to Harvard, meaning that because, Miranda went to Harvard, she can't believe that her ovary has decided to become an underachiever. This poor girl. I'm telling you, because we all know what happens, right? Even with a lazy ovary. So Charlotte is like, well, I have a tilted pelvis. And Miranda's like, what the hell does that got to do with me? She goes, well, because when the sperm gets to it, it has to go over to reach my egg. And poor Miranda's like, yes, but when it gets there, there will be an egg. I've never had these conversations with my friends. So this was very enlightening. None of us had tilted pelvises. None of us had lazy ovaries. We were actually overactive and we had way too many reproductive situations, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. So Samantha is asking, hey, do you like your gynecologist? And Miranda's like, no, not right now. And she goes, I love Samantha. Samantha mentions that she tried to go to a male gynecologist and that it was very uncomfortable because she couldn't understand a guy being down there all that time and not getting off and only getting a bill. Typical. Come on. Don't we love her? She's hilarious and she's a little right. Now, I don't think I have a preference. I've been to both. I do have a preference. I do feel that females, for me, there could be anybody else that feels differently. I do feel female gynecologists have a different level of understanding. Not that there's anything wrong with a male gynecologist. It's just I could see Samantha's point. Chipitito, just a little bit. Mm-hmm. Tell me what you feel. What do you prefer? Because I can't imagine a male going to what is it, oncology? What do they do when they have to, breathe and cough to get that, situation handled? You know what I'm talking about. Would you prefer a male or female handling that situation for you? I think there is a preference, believe it or not. So this was very shocking. Apparently, Carrie was going to pay for the bill First time I've ever seen her pay for anything. Now, this was all set up to be exactly what comes next, but I'm telling you, this was very striking to me. So she offers to pay for the bill, and as she pulls out the wallet, one of her underwears falls out of her huge bag, and Miranda picks it up and she goes, I don't think this is accepted here. Ill. First of all, ill. Why are you touching people's underwear? And why do you have that in this? Just don't you wrap it up and put it in a little baggie? Like, it was just very strange to me, the way that she just, it just fell out of her bag. There's no decorum with this girl. So Samantha is like, she's like, oh, I'm going to sleep over Big's house. And Samantha's like, my God, you don't even have a drawer in his house yet? You've been dating him how long? And, as what she says, Carrie, that, Big is very strange about stuff. Charlotte's word is like, yes, men are very strange. We need to keep an air of mystery. And everybody's like, well, he knows that she wears underwear. This whole scene is set up to say that at this moment, she stays over Big's house and she's still lugging around all of her personal items, underwear, hair dryer, whatever other paraphernalia we use to get ready, because she doesn't even have so much of as a drawer there, and she's been dating this guy for almost 2 years now. And I'm going to tell you full stop, that is bull crap. Bull crap. And I kind of see Samantha's point. Like, come on. You don't even have some place to put your things you're lugging around. Like, if this was you know how I feel about people who don't really know each other and they leave them in the house and then they don't expect them to go through their things. This is very different. You're dating this guy, which is probably why most of the men that I've dated would come over to my house and I wouldn't really spend too much time in their house, because I'm not lugging around a bunch of crap. And get out. Did I say that out loud? Or if I stayed in their house, I can leave at will. And I don't have to leave anything. Because Samantha's thing is like, yeah, that's why, what'd she say? Whenever she leaves somebody's house, she never gets her underwear back. And they're like, what happens to it? She goes, I don't know. I just never go back. And they're like, poor Carrie's like, so isn't that expensive for you to always buy new underwear for every time you sleep with a guy? Mm-hmm. Needle. And she goes, well, that's why I stopped wearing underwear on dates. I love her. I never even thought about that. And that's why Miranda is not going to borrow another dress from her ever again. You got to give her credit where credit is due. You got to figure it out. If it's too much, then you just stop wearing it. That's my girl. Mm-hmm. So, next up, we get to see the evolution of Carrie and Big's relationship as she stakes out a place in his abode for her stuff, underwear included. They do. Here we are. We're now back at Big's apartment, and Carrie is contemplating the conversation she had with the girls at the diner about leaving some of her things at Big's house after being with him for so long. And as she is narrating that, for the cavemen, they left drawings to prove that they existed. So, what do you think Carrie does? She opens up the medicine cabinet in the bathroom and she looks at the empty shelving that's in Big's bathroom shelf. And she has decided to leave her hairdryer because now she is not wearing her hair curly anymore. It's straight. Fair enough. She puts it on the shelf, and as she narrates, she didn't stop there. Because as Big opens up the medicine cabinet, he notices that it went from maybe one item to the entire shelf of whatever other paraphernalia that she has decided that she's going to leave there without asking, without saying anything. She just went ahead and she actually just placed the items in the medicine cabinet, which I have two different opinions on this. One, very brazen of her, considering that she never opens up her freaking mouth and it's always a push and pull with Big. So I thought it was very interesting that she has decided to take the initiative to actually go ahead and leave things in there without letting him know or telling him or asking him, whatever you want to coin the phrase. I have to give her credit where credit is due. Second, The fact that she did that and she didn't say anything and she just went ahead and she's like, looking behind her to see what he's looking at, because obviously he's noticing that his empty medicine cabinet shelf is now filled with female items. It just doesn't prove anything because she still doesn't open her mouth and say something. Hey, by the way, honey, I'm leaving some stuff on the medicine shelf. Uh, don't even ask if you mind. I'm just going to do it, because that will take another level of brazen of her to be expressive. So, we play this cat and mouse crap pola between the two of them. Like, she's staking out her claim. She's like a dog peeing, or is it a dog or a cat? I can't remember. I think it's both animals. And they're going to prove that they're there. Now, she knows how big is. She knows how flighty he is. I probably would have done the second part. I would have been like, hey, listen, check it out. If I'm going to be spending time here, I need a drawer or a cabinet or something. And these are the items that I'm leaving. Take it or leave it. But that's just me. Right? Next up. We have a date with a very peculiar man. And I say this with all respect because it was one of the most strangest dates, persons, and sexiest people that I have ever seen Charlotte actually be confused about. Okay? We have Charlotte, who is, Carrie's narrating that she's tired of dating the Neanderthals that she's been going out with. She decided to go out with her gay friend, this one, who is a pastry chef, and his name is Stefan. And for the most part, he is behaving in a mannerism that could be gay. I didn't think two things about it when they narrated that he was gay. And they're just going on and on about Betty Buckley and the cat's pajamas. And why do they name it the cat's pajamas? And he says, why don't we create a new term, the dog's tuxedo? And I'm just listening to this. I'm like, where are we going with this conversation? Who is this person? Why are we being introduced to this guy? Still didn't hit me. So as Charlotte is so excited to be with someone, a man that she can actually talk to. And he was grateful for her to go out with him at short notice because his friend, whatever, Don, I think, canceled at the last minute. It was all very nice. I'm like, so we're just giving Charlotte nothing to do in this episode. So I thought. So he's like, do you want to grab a cup of cappuccino? And she's like, no, I got to go home. She has her glasses. She looks really nice. I actually thought she looked kind of nice. So as he says, okay, let me hail you a cab unsuccessfully. Remember cabs? Remember those? Remember those yellow cabs? Now everything's an Uber. They still have yellow cabs, but my God, it was impossible to get a cab. He couldn't get one. She puts out her hand and suddenly one stops and he's like, well, excuse me. She goes, it helps to show a little leg. And he's being flirty. Funny. Let me be cautious. Funny. I tried that. It never works. So as she's about to go into the cab, this happens. He grabs her and starts making out with her. Now, I was like, what in the hell is happening here? I have many gay friends, and none of my gay friends kiss me like that. I would remember that. And I'm like, whoa, now we have a story. Now we're going to understand what the hell is the difference between a gay straight man and a straight gay man. Because poor Charlotte, as shocked as I was, she was placed into the cab and she just looks at him and she's like, with her glasses, and he starts to wave goodbye. I'm like, who are you? Who are you? What's going on? What's happening? My little Karen Walker? Yeah. Because now, as we come back, we're going to understand the difference between those two analogies. And then we get to find out who was the great love of Samantha's life. Mm-hmm. Many layers, my friend. Many layers to Miss Samantha. She was so missed. Stay tuned. The gay straight man or the straight gay man? We learned the diff. And as many times as I've watched this, I'm not too sure. So forgive me if I don't get this correct. As we are with the girls at a bar, Charlotte is asking, well, she says she's very confused because she doesn't know if Stefan is gay or straight. And as Carrie noted, it's not that simple anymore. Is he a gay straight guy or a straight gay guy? And apparently the difference is the straight gay guy, if I say this correctly, is a new type of breed of men in Manhattan who have been exposed to musical theater, fashion, and antiquing. And as Samantha says, if he is a straight gay guy, he is just a guy who will play sports and never have sex with you. Now, this is the 90s, 1999. I had no idea any of this existed. I didn't know you could be either or. You could be a guy who is legitimately straight, but I guess they're calling it metrosexual now because, you are exposed to many different other things and that are not exactly masculine. And because they're not, you are not gay, but you enjoy it. It's the only way I can understand this. I didn't understand this breed. I asked some of my gay friends, and they have never heard of this either. So, sure. And hey, have I mentioned that this was written by Cindy Chopak? I know that I've been keeping track of who's been writing these episodes, and this one was a Cindy Chopak episode. So this was a definite tone difference, if you know what I mean. So as they're trying to understand what Stefan is, Miranda is popping pills, and poor Samantha's like, is that recreational? Because this drink is not doing anything for me. I'm like, are we mixing pills and drinks now? Is that what we do now? And there go my neighbors, and this is why I'm moving. Do you hear the madness that's going on over there? Oh my God. Sorry for the noise if you hear it. They just don't shut up. So, should I go out there and scream? Do you think I'll get beat up? Or do you think I can beat them? I think I can take them. So, as Miranda is stipulating that she's trying to jumpstart her ovaries. I don't know how Charlotte said that her mother was taking those for menopause. And she's like, excuse me, does she have a tilted uterus too? Trying to be sarcastic because, the whole tilted uterus is completely different than what is going on with Miranda. We circle back to Carrie, who is expressing her wonderful little teeny little bag, which I'm sure she'll have cigarettes in it because no matter what, she always finds a way to, which ironically she didn't smoke in this bar. I have to give them credit. And everybody's like, oh, it's so pretty. And she goes, yes, and it's teeny tiny. That means that I am not lugging around all of my underwear in a big old bag anymore. And they're like, oh my God. She goes, yes, and I left some things at Mr. Big's house. They're like, really? I left a hair dryer, a hairbrush, tampons, and an eye makeup remover. I didn't see all that on the shelf, but I'm proud of her. And then she says, and I left something else too. And they're like, what? What could you possibly put on that shelf? And she's like, and I did a number 2 in Mr. Big's house. They're all happy except for Charlotte. Charlotte's like, no, it's the end of romance. She goes, no, I think this is a good thing that I was able to do a number 2 in Mr. Big's house. And poor Miranda's like, yeah, it is because, I actually dated a guy that I never did a number 2 in his house. And that's even a long weekend in Barbados that I had to go to the lobby. Full stop. Oh my God, do I know this? I know we all been through this. Because Carrie's point is that, in New York City is very difficult because the apartments are very teeny tiny and you can hear everybody's everything. I can tell you that we all went through this. We all know this, and it's not easy. And one of the best times, I know this is crazy to say, is when you get past that and you can do the things that we are supposed to be doing as humans comfortably, as comfortable as many can be. Okay? Because not everybody's comfortable. I've seen some scary stuff come out of some of my ex-boyfriends. And I don't say seen because I don't like seeing it. But yeah, I've heard some things. But we're all human. So what choice do we have? But when you get to that point that you're in the relationship stage, which for Charlotte, I don't know how the hell she says that she's never done a number two in any of her boyfriend's houses. I believe her. I believe her. And poor Samantha's like, honey, you're so backed up. You need to do a number seven. I don't know what that is, but that sounds like a lot. First of all, hilarious. And we all, maybe some of us are a little more comfortable at the beginning stages of a relationship. And some of us maybe are still in a relationship long term and you still haven't done a number two. How? How? If that's still happening to you, how? How are you not backed up and bloated? I don't know. But it is one of those stages in the relationship where you are more comfortable. And it was just funny to listen to it because we don't talk about that. There's a lot of things in this episode that we don't talk about in my friends group. And it's funny, we didn't talk about it afterwards either. We just talked about it during the episode. But yes, the bodily functions of human nature is one of those milestones in a relationship. And yes, I can concur that it's a point where you have to be comfortable to do that. So I was, laughing my ass off. And as, Samantha points out that that's why she only dates rich guys because they have enough bathrooms in the house to distance themselves from the number two. Smart girl, smart cookie. I have a feeling that's why so many of these mansions have, 5 bedrooms and 17 bathrooms. I'm just saying it could be one of the reasons. Have you seen that? Oh my God. So as she's stipulating this fact, the bartender says, this drink was given to you by the man across the bar. And as she turns around, it's this man named Dominic Domingo. And she goes, oh my God, it's Dominic. And as Carrie narrates, Dominic is the one man that Samantha truly loved. He set her up for great sex, and then he dumped her for his Icelandic supermodel named Ivanka. Do you think that he is the equivalent of Donald Trump? Just putting it out there. Because I knew it then, and I know it now. So apparently, she was like, Charlotte's like, who's Dominic? And Carrie says to her, it's the one that broke Samantha's heart. And from the narration of Carrie, Charlotte was as confused as her having a broken heart as being French kissed by a gay man. Because in everybody's world, Samantha has never been in love. And Samantha's like, I'm going to go over there and just say hello. And everybody's like, no, after what he did to you, don't do that. She goes, no, it's okay. I have the power now. As she saunters her sexy ass over to Mr. Dominic Domingo, or whatever the hell his name is, Donald Trump. Pretty much. I'm left wondering, how is this going to turn out? Because I told you, there's many layers to Miss Samantha. And I was really intrigued by this. I was like, good. I'm glad that they actually brought some reality that, she wasn't always just, a sex addict. And this is what I'm saying. The writing, the depth, the character, and the intrigue of figuring out who is this mystery man of Samantha. Next up, we get to see that time is up for the cave woman that left her items to be remembered in Mr. Big's house, and that would be Carrie the cave woman. They don't. Death of the cave woman. So the next scene we have is Big is visiting Carrie. As they greet each other at the door, fake kissing, he pulls up this Barney's bag, sponsored, I'm sure, and she's like, oh, what is that? Because they all live for Barney and for gifts. And he says, oh, just some stuff that you left in my place. And then he just walks away with that face as if, he was in the right. And she's like, oh, okay. As she opens up her medicine cabinet in her bathroom, she wants to understand, what is it about Big's house? It's like Teflon for women. They can never leave anything there. So she has gotten the balls, the cojones, to go to finally confront Mr. Big about her leaving her stuff in his place. And she walks over to him as he's very comfortably laying on her couch, on her bed with his shoes on. And she says, I meant to leave that stuff there. And he's like, why? And she's like, well, because if you haven't noticed, I don't wake up like this and I need stuff. And I would like not to have to carry it around like a nomad every time I go visit your place. Well, it's about damn time. And let's just start off by saying, how the hell does this guy not know that? And she's like, well, you can leave stuff here too. And he's like, you want me to leave stuff here? She goes, not a lot of stuff. Well, she has a teeny tiny little apartment. What is he going to leave other than his shoes on the bed? Oh my God. And she says, you can leave your shaving stuff. And he goes, I shave at the gym. Okay, fine. You could leave socks. And he goes, you want me to leave socks here? And she's like, well, no, what is it that you want? And he says, why don't we save an hour and you tell me what I want? Full stop. How did this guy have a marriage? Didn't he have a wife? I understand that he got divorced, but come on now. You're going to honestly tell me you don't realize that women need stuff? It's this whole, pretending to be a doofus and not realize that women and that she's carrying around her underwear and her hair dryer and she's leaving stuff. It's just unfathomable. He's 40 something years old. Give me a break. He's playing her. We know this, right? Right? All nod. I can't see you, but I'm going to presume that you're all nodding with me. Ooh, he irritates me. Just in general, as a man, not the actor. I don't know him personally. So she asks him, what is the ideal living situation for two people who are in a relationship? And he rolls over to his side and says, well, you have your place and I have my place, and we're together when we want to be, and we're not together when we don't need to be or want to be. Does this sound familiar to you? Now, back then, we didn't realize this, right? But if anybody remembers the movie, number 2, the Aiden incident, where, he was okay with her staying at her place after they got married and everything, because they got married and they were living together in their Park Avenue or Fifth Avenue apartment, the one that she redecorated, and he gave her a big closet. You know what I'm talking about. That he was actually happy that she had stayed there for a couple of nights and that he had asked, hey, maybe we can do this more often. When I didn't, what was so strange? Because I'm doing this analogy right now, it just hit me right now because I've rewatched this and the movie many times over and I never made the connection until right now. He's been saying this and he's wanted this type of relationship since a long time ago. And I found it interesting that now it comes back up again the first time, where in his mind, this is the perfect scenario. And, another thing they brought up is that, she says, you mean like Woody and Mia, Woody Allen and Mia Farrow, which I don't understand that relationship. I never did. I never found him attractive and I never understood that. He goes, yes, before Sun Yi. Now, for all of you who may not even know who the hell we're talking about, look it up. Because what he did to Mia Farrow with his adopted daughter, Sun Yi, was disgusting. So as Carrie narrates that it legitimately was in the papers, where he was looking at Mia Farrow across Central Park and they waved at each other. And married men across the world wanted that separate togetherness where you don't always have to be around the person. You can just wave at them from across the whatever. I remember this story and I remember the Sun Yi. No entiendo. I didn't understand it then and I don't care to understand it now. Dumbest thing I've ever heard. So as Carrie's narrating that, she's wondering maybe she's the problem, maybe she's the dinosaur, maybe she needs to evolve. The next scene we have is her and Samantha walking down one of the avenues, and she's saying, Samantha saying that women have been evolving, and ever since the caveman days, that when they came out of the cave, they realized that, hey, doing what the man does is not that hard. And Carrie is saying, but do you want a man? And she says, yes, I want more than one. And Carrie is trying to figure out, I don't know if you're part of our evolution or demise. And Samantha's like, I'm part of the future. Okay. And that's why I'm going to have dinner with Dominic. And she's like, what the hell? Why are you having dinner? This man broke your heart and you took a year for you to get over him. I'm like, wow, this guy really hit her hard. And she goes, that's why I'm going out with him, because he treated me like crap. And I want to prove that I am not only going to go out with him, but I'm going to almost sleep with him. And then I'm going to walk away right before I do it. And so Carrie's like, well, okay, at least you have a plan. She goes, I don't have a plan, just a plan. I have a dress. And then we see her with Dominic and the dress, going to a beautiful fancy restaurant, and he is talking to her about his divorce. By the way, it's not Ivanka. Her name, the woman that he left her for, was Anka. For that, it might as well have been Ivanka. Really? Really? I was like, okay. I heard Ivanka, but it's Anka. And she's like, oh, yes, I read about your messy divorce, and I heard that she got the sailboat. And he's like, yes, we had some great times in it. She goes, you and Anka? He goes, no, you and I. And he says, do you know how beautiful you look? And it's all part of her master plan to get the man so close to being in her bed. And then she's going to pull the sheets out from under him. Do you honestly think that was going to happen? Of course not, because then we wouldn't have a story. Next up, we are with the gay straight man or the straight gay man. I think I'm going to figure this out before the end of this episode, which one is Stefan and Charlotte. They do. The next scene we have is Charlotte and Stefan. And because Stefan has not come out yet, as is being narrated, Charlotte has accepted his invitation to stay in. I love the writing. I love when they do these little pun kind of wording and they try to mesh up these things. So, of course, he's cooking for her. And, he lets her taste whatever he's making. I think it's a portobello pizza. And she's like, it's delicious. He goes, it's Martha's recipe. And she's like, oh, I love Martha's stew. And he goes, yes, she's the dog's tuxedo. Stop it. That I don't like. It was stupid. So she is admiring the silk placemats that she was eyeing at Bergdorf's, and he tells her that she has great taste. And she goes, well, this is my dream kitchen. And I believe her. You want to know why I believe her? Because out of all of them, she's the only one that religiously actually cooks. So I believe that she actually has a dream kitchen, because for all the faults that everybody else has, Charlotte is the one person that has actually maintained a home living lifestyle, cooking, taking care of her kids, her husband. So I was pretty impressed with that. So he says to her as he saunters his way over to her, what is that sauntering thing that he does? I don't even understand it myself. I'm confused. And he goes, this is my fantasy. And he grabs her and he kisses her. And then as he pulls away, he looks at her dress and he says, is that a Cynthia Raleigh dress? I couldn't tell you Cynthia Raleigh from an H&M Forever 21 dress. God bless him. And she's like, mm-hmm. And as Carrie narrates that she's trying to be open-minded, but Stefan is making it very, very hard for her because for the all intents and purposes, men generally don't know labels, especially women dresses. Next up, the fantasy of Samantha, where she's going to take Dominic to the point of ecstasy and then rip the sheets out from under him. And that didn't work out at all, because as she's in her bedroom and she is making out with him, as Carrie narrates, that this was the moment that she had been waiting for for years to finally tell him to go jump off the window of her studio bedroom apartment, I guess. And as he's kissing her, she says in the narration, "What is one more time?" And they fall onto the sheets, which was the moment that she was supposed to jump off the sheets. And no, of course not. They make love. They have relations in the boudoir. And so much so that she calls Carrie the next morning, as you know, she's in bed, and Carrie is like, hi. She's like, were you at Biggs? She goes, no. I'm out shopping because my relationship is at a standstill, so I am evolving my look. I don't know what that means. So she says, how things go with Dominic? And she says, I slept with him. She goes, that wasn't part of the plan. I'm like, no, it wasn't. And she goes, yes, but this is part of the new plan. I'm going to make him forget. I'm going to make him remember what he lost. And she can't believe that she thought that he was so good in bed. She's actually better than him now. I don't know what statement is more shocking. The fact that she thought that somebody was better than her, or just the fact that the whole plan just fell out the window. So now, as she says goodbye, Carrie narrates that after dating 20 years in New York, Samantha has become a new hybrid. The hybrid of a woman trapped in a woman with the ego of a man trapped in a woman's body as she is touching herself in bed. I could see that. Mm-hmm. Now we have the Stefan Chronicles with Charlotte and the team of experts that Charlotte had brought over to his pastry store to figure out if he is gay or straight. And the team of experts consists of Charlotte, Carrie, and Stanford. It's the only expert I would believe in this whole group. So as Stefan walks over to them and has made them special tarts, he kisses her and he's presenting the tarts over to the group. And, you know, Stanford is like, oh, I'm so excited. And he's like, and poor Stanford is trying to figure out what was that whole motion about. Are you straight or gay? And Charlotte's trying to figure it out as well. And Stefan turns over to Carrie, says, oh my God, your hair is straight now. And she goes, oh yeah, do I know you? He goes, no, I read your column. No, you don't. Nobody did. Please stop. Oh my God. And your hair was so free flowing then. She goes, yes. And he's like, okay. So he's still doing the metrosexual. I'm going to call it metrosexual. And as everyone is trying to figure out what's going on, he's like, I gotta go. I have to go glaze my wedding cake, literally like this. And he saunters back out into his kitchen. And Charlotte's like, well, what do you think? And Stanford says, well, I'm attracted to him, which most likely means that he's straight. What? But also the fact that I think that he's crazy about her. Charlotte. And I'm thinking, I didn't see anything in this interaction that made it seem like he was crazy about her. But okay, we'll go with that. And then Charlotte asks, well, do you think that he's gay and he doesn't even know it? And Stanford says, honey, we know. My father, when I was young, gave me a book on women. You learn about the anatomy and sex. And I took one look at it and I said, no, thank you. Mm-hmm. I suspect that that's true. That you kind of sort of know when you kind of sort of know. Am I wrong? Am I crazy? I just didn't understand this team of experts. They're not experts. They're all confused. The only person that wasn't confused is Stanford. And maybe Stefan, because I still don't understand what's happening there. Next up, we get to learn about crop circles and Miranda. How do these two get meshed up together? You'll see. They do. Miranda and the crop rotation. So Miranda's out on a date with a guy named Joseph, who she is staring at his forehead because apparently there's something happening up there. And the guy notices that she is noticing his forehead during this date. And he says, are you looking at my forehead? And she goes, oh. He goes, no, it's okay. You can look at it. It's starting to come in. And apparently he got hair plugs. And he goes, I used to be very bald. Now, to preface this, he's been going after her for quite some time now, and that she rejected him. But since she's down to her last ovary, she figures she accepts the date. Because this is what we do when we're desperate. And he's like, no, it's okay. You could look at it. I never thought that I would be someone that would wear plugs or get plugs, hair plugs, which is very common. Actually, I know 3 guys who've done it themselves. And they go into the office one day. One traveled to Turkey and another one traveled, I want to say Spain. And they came into the office and they had their plugs and you could see it and they were very proud of it. There's no shame of it anymore. Back then in 1999, I guess there was. I never really noticed it, but I didn't realize that guys were walking around with hair plugs open, free, and just showing it. So as he's, tilting his head, he's like, I never thought I would be a guy to get hair plugs, but here I am. I'm doing it. And she's like, yes, and I'm doing things that I never thought I would do either. And he's like, huh, like what? She says, do you really want to know? He goes, yeah, no. Don't do it. Don't say it. But of course she does. Well, I just learned that I have a lazy ovary, which means that one of my ovaries are not producing eggs. And she goes on to tell him that because of that, she got spooked because what if her other ovary shuts down and that will eliminate her from having children? And she's not even sure if she wants children. And she's going on. And she's saying to him that now she's not only taking hormones, that she's actually thinking about freezing her eggs. This guy is pissed. He goes, freezing your eggs? And he's like, yeah, but that brings up a whole bunch of other things. And she's like, oh, yeah, like what? And he's like, this whole thing about science. Do we really want desperate women in their 50s still having children? Now, here's the thing. Before we go into the rest of the monologue, can we not? It's too late. It's out there in the universe. Desperate women having babies in their 50s. Well, let me tell you something. Having a baby at any age is not easy. Okay? Physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever the hell it is. I can't understand how some women, and there's not many that I know in the news, but I've heard that women in their 60s are carrying children, and I have to give them credit. But why is it okay from a mental standpoint, and I ask this question, not that there's a right or wrong to it, for men in their 60s, 70s, and 80s to still have children just because they're not carrying them doesn't mean physically, doesn't mean that they should be having children at that age either. This whole thing is just so strange. And when we were having this conversation then, a lot of men that I didn't know about were having children at that age. Okay. And now, do you know how many men, actors, famous actors are having children? I'm going to put up some of their pictures here. Okay. That are having babies now in their 80s, 70s. Okay. With women who are much younger, but it is not any better than a woman at that age, which physically is difficult. What about the psychological point to the children? Okay? How long do you think you're going to last? I'm just saying, like, none of this conversation makes sense to me. Though I didn't like the way he told her, because in his mind, they're desperate at 50, which was wrong. And he's going on about this whole thing about designer sperm and all this other crap. And he's like, ew. And here's a thought. Why don't we just get rid of men altogether? And she loses it. And she goes, hey, I don't need to get lectured about this from a guy who's doing crop rotations on his forehead. Well, thank God she opened her mouth. And that's why I miss Miranda in and just like that. Because at the end of the day, as open-minded as she tries to be and as way too much of a conversationalist as she is, at the very minimum, she knows when to put somebody in their place. I don't know what the right answer to this at all is, to be honest with you. It is your individual preference. Whether you want to have kids at 50, 60, 70, or 80, I just think that from a woman's standpoint, from my standpoint, that I would be afraid if I were to be pregnant now. For many reasons. Not just the health, physical, emotional, just longevity, being there for my child, raising him, her, going through the motions of, kindergarten, high school, teenagers, college, seeing them grow up. I'm not stupid. I don't think that I'm going to be as agile as I am or was when I had my son at 25 as I will or can be in the next 20 years. Imagine at 76 having a 20-year-old and having to go through that entire motion now of having to put them. Now, I know women who are doing it and I give them a lot of credit. But for me, other than the physical aspect of it, it's the emotional aspect of it. There's a difference, and it's not to say that I couldn't do it. It's just that, do I want to? And having that choice taken away from you at any age is very jarring. Tell me how you feel about this. I know this might be controversial to many of you. I don't know if you know anybody at this age group that are having children. I only know one person who did have a child at 51 and is going through it right now. I think she is 63 and she's having a hard time. And it's not to say that every person is, because we don't know what our health situation is at any given age. I just know that I am grateful to have had my son at 25. I am grateful that he's 30, and I'm grateful to be 56 and that I can enjoy because let me tell you something. There's another aspect here. Other than the physicality of it, what about parents, grandparents? Okay. There are grandparents at my age who are taking care of young children. They didn't physically have them, but they're still there for them. My grandmother took care of me. And I think about that now and I'm like, wow, I was not a handful, but that's still exhausting. It's the everyday. If you don't have children and if you have children, it's not an easy task. It's a day-to-day task. And yes, I feel relatively good. I am a diabetic. My back is doing much better, thankfully, for my herniated discs, but I couldn't fathom having 4 herniated discs and still taking care. Not that I wouldn't do it, but it could easily happen. It could have easily happened to me. It happened to my grandmother. She had to take care of me, and my brother, because of my mother's situation, and God bless her. She was my age when she was taking care of us. And I have an enormous amount of respect and sympathy and understanding now of what that really entails, especially becoming a mother. Because I think about the energy level that I had when I had my son at 25 and the energy level that I have now. And God only gives you what you can really do, I guess. But wow, it would be one hell of a do if I had to take care of my son's kids. It's like, it's a lot. So his point, though interesting, disrespectful, I didn't appreciate it. And I'm glad that Miranda opened her mouth, because who are you to say what someone is doing when you have crop circles growing up in your hair? What about that science? Ooh, that pissed me off. But I'm glad that she opened her mouth. So next up, of course, she cut off the date very easily. And of course, they show her Miranda saying that, Carrie is narrating as she's opening up the freezer that maybe one day eggs will be in her freezer. But she's still 33 years old, so she still has hope. Steve. Yep. Next up. Do we figure out what's going on with Stefan and Charlotte? Or do we get more confused because Cher is playing in the background? Stay tuned. Do you believe in life after love, after love, after love? Because that is what's playing when Charlotte has decided that she's going to figure out her man of mystery as he's playing Cher in the background and they're making out in his bedroom. And I love that song. I do admire Cher. I remember her when it was Sonny and Cher. I was very young when the show came out. I do remember watching it, and I remember being fascinated by this beautiful, dark-haired woman, tall and gorgeous. And I was like, oh my God, she looks like me. At the time, I was young, literally. Okay. And there was not many of women like that on television. And I was fascinated by this woman. So listening to her being played in the background was very striking to me. So as she's making out with Stefan and they're about to get it on in the boudoir, she climbs back up and says, I have something I need to ask you. And he's like, what? She says, have you ever been with a man? And he's like, no. Have you ever been with a woman? She's like, no. And he's like, why are you asking? And I'm thinking to myself, dude, really? Are you going to honestly tell me with all the sauntering and all that crap that you're doing that no one has ever asked you if you were gay? That I don't believe for 5 minutes at all. And she says, well, Betty Buckley, Martha Stewart, Cynthia Raleigh, all these things. And he's like, Charlotte, I'm a 35-year-old pastry chef who lives in Chelsea. If I were gay, I would be gay. Okay. I still don't believe that no one's ever asked him, but sure, we'll go with that. He's like, and you're the one who doesn't want to make love. Uh-huh. And she says, I wouldn't be too sure about that. And Charlotte and the pastry chef get it on. And she is very happy to know that he is a gay straight man, which means that he is a straight man who has just been exposed to many metrosexual things. And as they're getting it on, after 2 orgasms, who really cares? I really thought this was going to go somewhere, to be honest with you. I'm like, you know what? I kind of think that this is the perfect man for Charlotte. For like a minute. 2 orgasms? Good for you. We never hear from him ever again, but you'll see why. Next, Samantha. Samantha's desire for Dominic outweigh her vision of payback. As they're in bed, he says, oh, you're awake? And she goes, yes, I am. And she really is going to make a go at this with Dominic again. And he goes, oh, you're so beautiful. As she notes to him. Did you like that? Because she really did that. I swear to God, she did. And he's like, I'm going to miss you. And she's like, why? He goes, Anka and I are going to give it another shot. Oh my God. She is pissed. He goes, it's mostly financial. Mostly financial. Him and Anka. She goes, no. This is not the plan. This is not the way it was supposed to turn out. I was supposed to do this to you. And he's like, I better leave. She goes, get out. And he goes, I am leaving, as he is taking his clothes out. And Carrie narrates that she sees history repeating itself and she's yelling at him as he goes into her bathroom, the one that in that 1-bedroom apartment, because she's not rich and she doesn't have enough bathrooms to separate bathroom from her own bedroom. What is the setup? We never really get to see it, right? Okay. So one of the things that Carrie narrates is that in Samantha's mind, she couldn't do what Dominic had done to her because she hasn't passed being evolved from having feelings. And in a way, she was happy about that. So she was happy about the fact that she is not just about the sex, that she does want to have a relationship. She wants to be open into being in a relationship. And this is what I said. This is why this character to me was one of the most fascinating and most intriguing parts, because they try to pivot her in so many different directions. But at the end of the day, Samantha was more than just what we thought, which was a sex addict. She was. And we see this evolution go out through the entire series and in the movies too. Next, Charlotte and the House of Mouse. Charlotte has woken up from her share palooza with Stefan, the pastry chef who lives in Chelsea and 35. And if he was gay, which he's not. And he's making breakfast for her. What he's making, I couldn't even understand it because I was like, whoa, that's a lot. And she's like, if I keep eating like this, I'm going to gain 10 pounds. And he's like, and you'll still be gorgeous. Great. Would you like some tea? Sure. Most beautiful tea kettle I've ever seen. And as she's listening, she hears squeaking. And as the squeaking is going on, she goes, what is that sound? He's like, what sound? And they both hear it. And he goes, starts flailing. Oh my God, it's a mouse. She goes, are you sure? He goes, yes. And they show the mouse in the mouse trap. And he's screaming and flailing. Oh my God, his legs are stuck. And then there's this barrage of them passing the mousetrap back and forth to each other because neither one of them wants to actually do anything about it, which is my biggest fear. And if you live in New York City, you don't have a choice. You need to face that fear because that's happened to me. I moved but it's still real. And you're lucky if it's a mouse. Lucky if it's a mouse. Mm. That and flying cockroaches in Puerto Rico. You put that in front of me, I will freak. I've seen that. Mm. Mm-hmm. I don't like. So as they're screaming back and forth, he grabs, I guess, something to cover the mousetrap, and he jumps on top of the chair, and he's flailing, in his sauntering gay straight man. And as Charlotte is looking at him, Carrie narrates that for Charlotte, her masculine side wasn't as evolved as Stefan's feminine side. She couldn't handle the fact that she had to be the man and actually contend with the mouse in the house. And he was just screaming, saying, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." Well, I guess the dream kitchen and dream man is over. What animals and critters do scare you? And I'm not talking about snakes scare me, alligators scare me, but those are not critters. Flying cockroaches, mice, rats. Mm-hmm. Spiders. That too. Ooh, I don't like anything like creepy crawly. I just don't like it. I cannot be the only one. Me no crazy. Next, we get to see the evolution of the relationship of Big and Carrie that lasts for 2.5 minutes, because after this episode ends, we go into the descent of hell. Stay tuned to see how the caveman, or I should say cavewoman, has made her presence known in his apartment, whether she knows it or not. They do. The cavewoman has stayed over Big's apartment after she was kicked out from the cave. So her stuff was kicked out of the cave. So as they're waking up, she's trying to get out of bed, and Big is not letting her out, and he wants her to stay, and she is insisting that she has to leave because that's where her hairdryer is not. And as she crawls out of bed, she goes, "I need to go home and blow dry my hair because I wear it straight now, in case you haven't noticed." And he's like, "I did notice." Okay. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't notice. I don't know why I didn't notice. It's just because maybe I've watched this so many times that even when the first time I saw it, it didn't notice to me that I didn't notice that she had changed her hair. So she is like, "I have to go." And as she goes into the bathroom, he goes, "Bring your sexy or your beautiful ass back in here." She goes, "I have to just check to make sure I didn't leave anything else." So we're back to the big bag again. So as she is opening up his drawer, the very most contrived way of, she notices there's something underneath one of his shirts. I presume it's a shirt or a pajama top. I don't know. And she pulls it out, and it's a picture of the two of them together, smiling and happy. Again, one of the most contrived ways to end this episode. Really. So she realizes that maybe that her stuff wasn't there, but she is there. None of this matters. Okay. So she puts it back under the top, closes the drawer, and then she walks over to him and has a pair of underwear. She goes, "Okay, I'm going to stay a little bit longer, but I'm going to leave this underwear." And he's like, "Is it clean?" As she flicks it over to him. What is the deal with the underwear? Ill? And she jumps back into bed with him to cuddle. And as she narrates, "Okay, this is one small step for evolution, but one big step for Big." And they cuddle. And that's the end. And I thought back in 1999 that I have to accept this, that this is the evolution, that they're going to be together, and that we're going to go through the next how many seasons with this bullcrap of contrived situations between the two of them, the push and pull. And I'm just going to stipulate as I record my second video, which will be for episode 12, that none of this matters. But the way they wrote him that he is so much in love with her, which I still to this day don't understand. What was he getting out of Carrie? We understand what Carrie was getting out of him. Why any of this made a difference. And that is why the writing in the show gets very much darker and deeper and much more evolved. Then I'm going to say that this episode was one of the last episodes where we go through somewhat funny parts. I mean, it does get funny because it doesn't end, but the way that it evolves from this point on, not just for Carrie, but for all of the characters, this is when it starts to get really good. So this is not the epilogue, but this is the ending of this episode. So let's get into the epilogue. Stay tuned. Epilogue. How does this relate to And Just Like That? That's what mostly these epilogues are supposed to be. They're not always going to relate, and this does relate in a way, in the sense of what I said before, the relationship evolution of what big things a good relationship should be, where they each have their own separate places and they're together when they want to be and not together when they don't need to be, is exactly what happens in the movie, as I noted. And of course, as I said, I didn't even notice it back then until now. The writing was done by Cindy Chopak, very different tone, because I think, and if I'm guessing correctly, she's the one that gives that extra layer to Samantha, where it's not just about putting her in very awkward sexual situations. It gives her that emotional depth and that emotional love that I think that she constantly seeks, but she covers it up because she's a woman trapped in, an ego of a man trapped in a woman's body. I can understand that as well. You kind of put up your defenses when you have been hurt. And apparently she's been hurt because she was in love with this guy, Dominic, who AKA is Donald Trump, who left her for the equivalent of Ivanka. Okay. And she has morphed into who she's wanted to become and what she presents out to people. She's one of the most in-depth characters that I've ever experienced in any of these shows, which I truly appreciate it. We have the setup of Miranda and her lazy ovary and how this transforms into who she becomes and how she evolves with becoming not just a parent, but a mother and a wife, as we all know. And Charlotte's interesting. I don't. Charlotte starts to come into her own very later on into the season. I think that we still go through a lot of these different arcs, as we know, with her trying to ever find Prince Charming, and she always falls ass backwards into the wrong type of relationship, and she does these quirky little sexual things that even I am surprised. So I think that we haven't found her footing yet, but we all know where it turns out. She does get what she wants, but it takes a while for her to get there. This is all erased in the reboot, which is why, I am sick of reboots just altogether. I'm sick of it. And I'm not just talking about Just Like That. I'm talking about a lot of these different TV shows. And it's what I said in the beginning. I wish that, either we come up with new shows that are funny, because even the new shows that are coming up right now, there's something missing from it. They're devoid of humor. Comedy needs to make a comeback. The sitcom, maybe and not in the same platform, in the same format, needs to come back. Because if we are just continuously watching this garbage that's being spewed out to us on streaming, and let's not even talk about what's happening in the movies. There's no rom-coms, there's no romance, there's no, Downton Abbey was on a streaming, and I think it was in the theater, and I did watch the last movie of Downton Abbey, but they don't make that kind of show or movie anymore. And I think that, the way that things are evolving, not just on television, but as what I've noted in the beginning with YouTube and what kind of platform it wants to be, where it wants to be more competitive. What does that mean for the rest of us? Because, YouTube used to be a place for creators who were not part of the system being that you needed to have a script, you needed to have financial backing, we're going to lose a lot of that. I'm not going to project yet because I don't know where this platform is going. I just hope that a lot of the AI slop, and if you haven't heard this terminology before, just a quick understanding, a lot of people are using AI to create videos that are garbage and they're not real. And I'm being inundated on my homepage by this new Sora and videos and stuff like that that are just, they're just not even worth my time watching. And I think, I could be wrong, the days of this type of videos of real people, AI clones are coming out. I can easily clone myself and come up here and you wouldn't even know the difference. That is how scary and how evolved evolution is happening, because it's at the point that we don't even need real creators anymore, real human creators. And I honestly, to be truthful, I don't know how long the you in YouTube is going to last. Now, I believe that at some point there is going to be another platform that's going to come out that's going to give creators that way of being authentic. In my second channel, Timeless New York City, again, I use an AI voice, but I could have easily used an AI clone, and I had the option to do so in the platform that I utilize, and I refuse to do that. To me, that is extremely frightening to me. Okay. And I don't even know how far we're going with this, but there is a level of, I don't want to say non-freedom, because it's not being free. I don't think we're being freed. I think that we're falling into a rabbit hole that we're going to lose good writers. We've already lost that. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what class, what school, what's happening, but the writers that were doing these shows, and I'm not just talking about Sex and the City, I'm talking about all of the older shows that we are watching, the nostalgia for it. There's a lot of video essays on this. There is something off, and I can't pinpoint it, but I have a feeling that it's going to come to fruition, because I am a teeny tiny little little fish in this huge pond that's YouTube. And the huge creators, I've said this before, are really being vocal about the way the platform is changing, the way that we're changing, the way that people are viewing videos. And I pray that I make it through this, and that you guys are here, and that you want to see more human, more interaction, more real, time people speaking. And the best way to do that is to support the creators that are doing this. And there's nothing wrong with people wanting to use AI. I use ChatGPT to write my scripts for my other channel. I modify it. I use an AI voice. I do all the scripting and I do all the visuals, and I use the platform that I use to get that done. And I enjoyed it. Like I said, I use a platform here as well to edit my videos, but it's the real me. And I hope that we never lose this connection. Now, how long this will last on this platform, I will tell you as soon as I feel that there's no going back and I need to change it, and I will let you guys know. But until then, I am here. And until then, I hope that you guys like, comment, share, subscribe. That is the best way to support us, to support all of us, because we're working our asses off here and we're bringing in good content. And I've watched many small creators not grow, and I've supported them. And I hope the same for everyone else. And I hope that you enjoyed this video, because the next seasons, I'm going to be transparent now, because when I get to the next episode, which is episode 12, it hit me hard. And it reminded me of my relationship that I was in that was painful. And I will get emotional, and I am going to ugly cry. So I want to put that in right now so y'all can be prepared. So, as I noted, number 1, happy Halloween. It's my birthday. I'm 56. A new life, a new movement, a new change. And I hope that you all are with me on this. And I wish you all, everyone that has reached out to me, has already said happy birthday to me. Thank you. And for all who always open up to me in my comment section, I read everything. And again, if I can give you all a hug, I will. I have added more merch in my merch store. I am going to do a video on the samples. I'm going to bring that to you. I'm sorry I couldn't bring the other video, as I noted to you about the hurricane in Jamaica. I had tried to come on camera. And there's one thing about me, I hate re-recording. And I tried to record a video 3 times and I was like, you know what? My mental capacity was just not in it. And I couldn't come on camera. And I'm still a little wobbly for other different reasons, but I don't ever want to come on camera and not bring you fun, joy, laughter, and, some perspective and a reason to come on and to comment and to have conversations and to bring up things that we normally don't talk about. So when I can't come on camera, I won't, but I will be transparent with you as you are transparent with me. So I want to wish you all a happy Halloween, a happy blessed week, day, whatever it is, from here to around the world. I want you to all have a wonderful, wonderful, blessed day. Thank you. Goodbye. Mwah.